Okay, so if we just wait, give it a couple of minutes just to see people coming through, and then we'll get started. I hope everyone has had an amazing day. I hope the sun is shining where you guys are too. Dublin looks lovely. Good. Good. Dublin looks lovely from over here, so I hope wherever you are, it's nice too. Ooh. Thank you for everyone joining today. Can see people filtering in, which is great. Thank you so much for supporting us today, guys. I hope you learn a lot. I know that I'm definitely here to learn. I put on this event so I can learn today. So. Hi, Anita. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate the support. If anyone wants to put where they're from, where they're currently watching from, where they're live from today, that would be great. I'm live from Dublin, Ireland. Panelists, where are you based?
Croydon, South London.
Nice.
I am based in Birmingham.
Nice.
In Bromley, South London, neighbours to Tolu.
Yeah, I'll just find it out.
I'm a North Londoner myself, repping Enfield. You guys know Enfield.
Wow. Yeah, don't go that far. It's like,
I didn't go as far as you either.
You might as well go on holiday. Going to
it's literally another country, yeah.
It's like the roads are different, driving is different, everything is different up there.
That is true. I'll give you that. Hi from Manchester. Hi from Oxfordshire. Hi, Nicole. Hi from Berkshire. Hi, Anita. Cool. We'll give it like one more minute and then we'll get started with introductions. Just letting people filter through. London, Blackie. Hi from London. From Slough, nice. Good. Okay, I think we'll get started. So hi everyone, welcome to Yelk's event tonight, Making Money Moves. My name is Naya Bardwi and I'll be hosting today's event alongside Raji Kaipalil, Tolu Frimpong and Emmanuel Asukwe. I'll just give everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves. So Raji, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, my name is Raji Kaipalil. I am a person who likes to speak a lot about money, which is why I have started a page on Instagram called Finance with Raji. And as I'm invited here and as we will be speaking for the entire hour on different aspects of money, I will be today sharing about budgeting and a lot more deep dive into budgeting. So I look forward to the session. Over to Tolu.
Hi everyone, my name is Tolu Frimpong and I am a money coach and a finance online content creator. So what I do is I create loads of content on my YouTube channel and Instagram page all around personal finance, budgeting and frugal living and tricks. So in terms of today's session, I'll just say a bit about what I'm going to be talking about today. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about savings accounts, credit cards and overdrafts.
You good?
Yes, I'm done.
No worry. Tony's my people, so we can deal with this. We know each other too long. Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Asukwe. I'm a financial advisor, and I now say TV personality. I like to add that. I like to feel like you can search me. I'm on the TV. But yeah, I've been a financial advisor for over 14 years. Started off in the banks, Barclays, and moved on to be an independent financial advisor. I have a platform called the E-Man Effect, where I teach people how to do money, but with a little banter, a little humor, a little fun, like making money fun. So it's enjoyable. If you like to get cussed and told about your life, then follow me. because that's what I mainly do. And if you're triggered, then probably don't follow me because you're not gonna like my content.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself. I have to say, Emmanuel, you put out a little video a while ago about washing up liquid, and you said, don't buy fairy liquid. You said, buy the one that says the green one, and that's what I've done. So thank you for that advice.
I'll try.
So we're going to get started. Kicking off first is Raji talking about budgeting. So Raji, if you would like to share your screen with us.
Yeah, sure. Let me know when that's come through.
Yeah, so we can see presentation mode now.
Fantastic. So hi, once again, everyone. As I introduced myself before, my name is Raji Kaipalil, and I am a personal finance enthusiastic, and I share a lot about personal finance and money investing through my Instagram page called Finance with Raji. So I actually initially started off with the whole idea of starting a page just because to get the topic of money rolling, to talk more about it, because I feel as a society, we just always told not to talk about money. We're always condemned when we speak openly about money. And I personally think that's just the wrong way. And which is why I wanted to come out on a platform and really talk out loud so that we can actually build a community where we are aware and about not just learning about money, but also more about just understanding what's going on. So in addition to breaking that taboo of talking more about money, I intend to use my page to share a lot about managing one's money along with investing, as I said earlier. So today, what I'm going to share is about budgeting. There's a lot of myths, there's a lot of misconception about budgeting, which we will touch on later. But just to give you an overview, we're just going to discuss today about what is budgeting, why do you have to budget, and how to budget. So if you're going to start off with what is budgeting, I'm going to say it's as simple, or it's a very simple process where you're just looking into how your money or where your money is coming from and where it is going out to. That's all. It's just as simple as just looking or keeping a tab of where your money comes from and where it goes to. That it is as simple as that. Now, if I were to really expand a bit on that, I would say I'm just going to assume here that we're having a lot of millennials and Gen Zs, and I'm going to assume that most of us use debit card or the credit card for our transactions, for all our payments. So if that's the case, then I'm going to say the very simple thing that you can do is just go into your bank accounts and just download your bank statements and just go through each of them line by line. Check what are those expenses. This could include your rent or mortgage, your groceries. How much are you eating out? How much are you spending on that? How much are you spending on your shopping? So go line by line and check, where am I spending? Where is that all of my money is going? And that's just going through your bank statement and understanding that. And once you go through all of that, add up all of these expenses and then compare against your monthly income. This is done just to understand if your balance is in the positive or negative. What that means is, are you spending more than your total income, or are you able to spend within your income and maybe have some amount of spare money left as well? So this is just, as I said, this is just to understand where you really stand. And I would highly recommend you to look into not just the last month, but maybe a couple of earlier months as well, so maybe 3 to 4 months, so that you can really see a picture of where are your spendings, where are you really spending, or where all your money is going, and really understand. And from there, you might be able to observe a pattern. Now, as I said, budgeting does have a lot of misconceptions. And I want to start off by saying that budgeting does not mean you have to starve yourself, but it is not just for you to starve, but it is for you to thrive. Now, we would have heard, or we ourselves might have got these misconceptions where we're thinking, oh, right, budgeting is just not for me because I'm not a cheapskate. Or even some of you might be thinking that because if I have to budget, that means I would not be enjoying my life. That is not true. And these are some of the things that I really, really want to cover, because as I said, this is just for you to understand. For you to understand where your money is going, for you to take control over your money matters and not anyone else. And it doesn't have to be time consuming. Doesn't have to include a lot of spreadsheets and looking into so many apps or anything of that kind. I will come on to it later, how you can make it less time consuming. And of course, it doesn't have to be a lot of math as well. So it is not rocket science. What you need to know is just to use a calculator and you will be good. And the most important thing I really, really want to emphasize is that everyone should budget. And that is not for you to live a life restricted, but for you to live a life where you know that your money is being put into proper use. You know where your money is going and that you have that complete control. So let me move on to how to budget. I'm just going to double check if I'm right, keeping on time. Okay. So there are different ways one can budget. And one of the ways that I'm going to share today is the 50-30-20 budgeting rule. Now, as I said, there are different ways, and I'm only sharing one of the ways today because I think this is a rule which is really helpful if you are completely new to budgeting or if you are just going to start budgeting. So now what this rule is, basically you are classifying your whole expenses into 3 categories. So you have 3 buckets. That's needs, wants, and savings. Now, what needs means is these are basically your must-haves. You know that those will be your expenses every month, and most of the time these needs every month, more or less, they are fixed. For example, like mortgage or rent, we know that's a fixed expense, or car payment, health insurance, utility bills, and even groceries. It might vary more or less, but it is going to be pretty much in the same area for most of the months. So these are your must-haves. You cannot really compromise on these. And this is what the first bucket is, needs. Now, moving on to wants, these are the nice to have things. So these are like things like shopping, if you want to eat out with your friends, go out and have a beer, or maybe just expend on some hobbies, going out and maybe having some fun and traveling, etc. All these are nice to have, and these are wants. And the third bucket is savings, which as most of you would know, is just keeping some amount of money aside for your future goals. Now, future goals could be anything from saving for a down payment for your home, or for saving for a new car, or maybe saving for a retirement. So any of those future goals, so that's the third part, which is savings. Now, as per this rule, what we're saying is, based on your total income, you're going to spend 50% on needs, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings. So if you were to assume, just for simplicity, we're going to say if one makes £1,000 per month, you would keep £500 away for needs, then £300 away for wants, and £200 for savings. So as I said, this is a really good method or a budgeting rule that you can follow if you're starting off. As you get the hang of it, as you understand more about where your money goes, how are you spending, as you understand, right, okay, maybe I'm spending a bit too much on one particular thing. Maybe I'm eating out a lot. And if you think you would want to reduce, and as you get that picture, as you get the hang of it, I would highly recommend you to increase that savings percent. So maybe from 20%, you could slowly increase that to 30% and cut down on the other 2 buckets. But as a starting point, this would be really, really great for you to follow. Now, one of the other things that I want to say is, as I said earlier, budgeting doesn't have to be time consuming. And if it doesn't have to be time consuming, what you can do in this case is automate your budgeting. Now, what I mean by that is, now I'm just going to take myself as an example because this is something I personally do. So as soon as my income comes into my account, what I do is I have a separate bank account for my needs. So everything, so my groceries, my utilities, my rent, everything goes out from that particular account, my needs account. So that's a separate account. And then I have another account for my savings. So as soon as my income, my which could be probably coming at the end of the month for most of you, as soon as that comes, I have set up a standing order, and it just directly sends say in this case, if I'm following the 50-30-20 rule, £500. If my salary is £1,000 per month, then £500 would directly be sent to my needs account, and then 20%, so which is £200 into my savings account, and what's left for me is my £300. So the beauty of this is that as soon as I wake up in the morning, like the day when my salary comes in, instead of seeing £1,000 in my account, I would only be seeing £30. And this is a bit of a trick, you're just tricking yourself, because slowly your brain starts to think that, right, I only have £300 to spend and not £1,000. So you tend to stick to that limit. And of course, because you have a completely different account for your needs, all your needs are taken care, and that's all good. And then again, because you've already sent your money for your savings of £200, that's done as well. So you're doing well on the savings part, you're meeting all your needs. And then I've got another £300, which I'm okay to be spending, because I can now spend it guilt-free, because I've done all my savings, I've done everything for my needs. Now £300, if that's what I have told myself that I can spend, then I can spend it without any guilt. So there's no guilt at all. At the same time, I am saving and taking care of myself as well. And as I said, because all of these is automated, because I've set up a direct debit or a standing order for all of these, I do not have to be doing this every month. I do not have to look into this every month. And what makes it easier are some of the banks such as Starling or Monzo, which makes it a lot more easier for us to do these things, because they are a little more, I would say, millennial and Gen Z friendly, because some of these banks, as soon as a transaction is out of your using that card, the debit card of Starling or Monzo, it automatically classifies it as eating out or groceries. So that kind of helps you in a way to keep track really quick. Just go in and that, yeah, okay, I've spent X amount on eating out altogether this month. So these are some of the things that I personally do, and that just helps me not to be really stuck with budgeting every month, but at the same time, it really helps me stay on track, because I have automated this. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. That was a very quick one, but one of the key takeaways that I want everyone to take is that budgeting does not have to be starving yourself, but it is to let you thrive. And for that, it is just you taking control of your money. It doesn't mean you have to live a life where you're depriving yourself, but it's a life where you're just taking control of your money. I hope that was helpful, and that brings me to the end of this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adi. I needed to hear a lot of things that you had to say. One question that I just have to ask you. You mentioned standing orders and direct debits. Could you just briefly just give us the difference between the two?
Yeah, sure. Can I just make sure? Okay. Can you hear me and see me properly? Fantastic. So the standing order and direct debit, the thing is, standing order means you're basically, if you want to send your money from one account to another account every month, every month, say for instance, I want to send £500 into my needs account at the end, on the 30th of every month, I set up a standing order. And whereas a direct debit is when you set up a debit to an external organization. So that could be like maybe your bills or your most likely bills, because these could be your electricity provider or your water provider, all of these. So they are authorized to take that money from your account, and that is what direct debit means. But if you want to send an X amount of money every month, a recurring amount every month. Stop, that was my 15 minutes. Recurring every month to another account, just another personal account, then you would be setting up a standing order.
Thank you so much for that clarification. Thank you also for presenting. I really appreciated that.
Thank you.
Cool. We will move next to Tolly, who's going to be talking about savings accounts with us. So a nice follow on there. So Tolly, if you'd like to start presenting. Oh, you're on mute.
You are mute, Tolo.
Well, that would help. Yes. Let me share my screen with you guys now. Let me know when you can see it. Can you all see that?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Super duper. Okay, so I'm going to be talking today. Oh, before I go into what I'm going to be talking about, actually, just in case anyone's joined since we've done the introductions, my name is Tolly Frimpong. I'm a money coach and a finance online content creator. And you can find me over on Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest, where I share loads of content all around personal finance, budgeting, and ways to save money living frugally. In terms of today's presentation, I've been asked to speak all about the following topics. So I'm going to be talking about savings, different savings accounts, the benefits of saving, and the different types of savings accounts that you can actually open. I'm then going to be going on to talk about credit cards, and then I'm going to be talking about overdrafts. Now, those three topics in themselves could literally warrant a whole session. So I'm going to literally turn my timer on now and make sure I stick to the time, because there's a lot to say, but I'm going to really try and condense it and give you the most important stuff about these three topic areas. And then you can obviously go away and do your own further research. And if you do have any questions about anything that I'm talking about, you can put it in the Q&A box and I'll try and answer them afterwards. And if I can't, you can always send me a DM over on Instagram and I'll definitely be happy to help you guys. So if we start off with savings, so what are the different savings accounts, or what is a savings account? For me, at my understanding and the way I like to explain savings accounts is they're basically somewhere where you can put your money aside in order for it to grow in value. So the growth in your savings account is what we like to call interest. So that's when your money is basically making money. So you're earning money on the money which you saved aside. You can apply for a savings account with a lot of banks. Most banks and building societies offer you that service of having a savings account. And I guess what really makes them different to a current account that most of you may have is that there's no overdraft facility. So that's in a savings account, it's all your money plus any interest that money has earned. And I guess the benefits of having savings accounts, there's so many different benefits, I would say, to having these type of accounts. I think the biggest one I would say is that savings accounts can earn interest. So your money can literally make you money if you save it in a savings account that has a decent interest rate. Right now, interest rates are not the greatest, but it's still better than nothing. You can actually make money on your money or save money. You can actually earn money on the money that you save. I think they're a really secure way to save your money. So I guess gone are the days where we'll take that money that we have and put it underneath our bed, underneath our mattresses. That's not really a safe way to save your money. At least in the savings account, you know that money is secure and it's not going to be lost in any way. And also with most savings accounts, I'd say that they are free to open. So generally speaking, you don't have to pay any kind of fees to open that savings account, depending, of course, on the service provider in which you choose to go with. And I guess another great thing is the financial security that you have from opening a savings account, like I mentioned earlier. And I think a fantastic thing about savings account rather, is the fact that you can set up automatic savings plans. So that is something that I definitely advise loads of young people to do. And I do this myself as well. It's automating my savings. So rather than saying, okay, I'm going to save money at the end of the month. So like what the previous speaker was just talking about in terms of putting money assigning money to savings, that's a great thing to do. And a great thing to do in terms of assigning that money to savings is actually automating that process. So setting up a standing order for a fixed amount that you're going to send to that savings account on a weekly, monthly, or whatever the plan is, on a monthly basis. Set that money aside, and you don't have to think about it. But I think when it's not automated, it's so easy for you to kind of find other things to do with that money. So I think it's a great thing when you have a savings account to actually automate your savings. Continuing on, what I would say in terms of how to decide on which type of savings account is right for you, there's a few things you want to take into consideration when deciding on the savings accounts that you want to go with. So consider these things. First of all, account fees. So like I was mentioning earlier, a lot of these accounts are free, but there are fees that can be associated with savings accounts, such as early withdrawal if you need to access that money sooner than the plan allows. So for example, it might be you put your money in a savings account that you can't access within a year, and if you do try and withdraw that money before that time is up, then you do incur a kind of fee for that. So look at account fees when you're opening a savings account. Also, how often do you need access to that money? So that goes on from the point I was just making a moment ago. In fact, in terms of the fact that account fees can be applied to your transaction if you withdraw money when you're not meant to, or when it's not contracted for you to do so. So how often will you need access to that money? That's something you want to really think about when looking at the different savings accounts that you want to open. Another thing that you want to consider is how tax efficient the account is. Now, I've got another slide coming up where I'm going to go into a lot more detail on the tax-free accounts, savings accounts that you can apply for. But that's something you definitely want to think about when you're looking at different savings accounts to open. Also, what are your savings goals? What are you actually saving towards? Are you just saving just for your financial future? Are you saving to buy a car? Are you saving to buy a house? All of these things, if you take them into consideration, will have an impact on the type of savings account that you decide to then go on and open. So really do this activity and do this task of going through your savings goals and actually working out what it is you're saving this money for, because then this would help to determine the kind of account that you're going to want to open. Another thing you're going to want to consider is the convenience. How easy and how quickly do you want to be able to access that money? And then finally, other accounts, like, is it a big thing for you to have your money in different places? So some people have accounts with HSBC, NatWest and Barclays. They have different accounts for different purposes with different banks, whereas some people want it all within the same place. So is that something that you want? Really ask yourself those questions and take that into consideration as well when opening your savings account. Moving on to the different types of savings accounts. So short-term savings accounts are instant access accounts. So these are savings accounts where you can withdraw the money immediately if you need it for any kind of reason. With these accounts, the interest is a lot lower, and because you're able to access the money at ease. Moving on, you've got savings accounts that are for more long-term goals. So these are the long-term savings accounts, which are fixed rate bonds and also regular savings accounts. And then moving on, you've got tax efficient savings accounts. So this is what I was speaking about earlier when I was talking about tax efficient accounts or tax-free accounts. And these are what we call ISAs, so individual savings accounts. These are called ISAs. So these are accounts where you can save money up to £20,000, depending on the type of ISA that you've gone for. And that money is tax-free. So all the interest, all the money that money has made, you're not taxed on those capital gains. So that's what an ISA account is. And there are 5 different types of ISA accounts that you can actually open. I guess one of those 5 actually may not apply to you, but if you are parents and you have children, then the junior ISA is one that you want to consider for your children. Just to go through them briefly. So the cash ISA, that's the ISA where you have a maximum of £20,000 that you can put into that account, and any money earned on that money is tax-free completely. So that's literally cash savings account. So it's a savings account basically, but a tax-free one. And with that one, your money isn't at risk. Your money is there, your money is safe. Whereas with the stocks and shares ISA, or also known as an investment ISA, your money is at risk. So the money that you put in that account can go down depending on what happens with those investments that have been made with your money. And then next, you've got the lifetime ISA, which actually has a maximum of £4,000 that you can contribute towards it every financial year. So the new financial year actually just started a couple of weeks ago. So you actually have between now and April 2021 or end of March 2021 to save £4,000 in that account, and the government actually top it up with £1,000. With the only thing with the lifetime ISA is that that money is not yours to touch. You can't actually access that money unless you're using it to buy your first property or you're accessing it at retirement. And then Junior's ISA is like a stocks and share ISA. It's an investment ISA, but for children. And then the innovative finance ISA, that's peer-to-peer lending, but it's also investing as well. Okay, so moving on, looking at my time, okay, I'm doing okay for time. Moving on to the next topic of credit cards. So credit cards are basically payment cards that give you credit. So it gives you money in advance for you to buy something now, and pay for that item at a later date. So it's, yeah, giving you quick access to cash, which you can then use for whatever you need to do and then pay it back when you can pay it back. Now, with credit cards, I always say to people, approach it with caution, because credit cards can have many pros, but they can equally have more cons. And those cons can be quite dire to your financial situation if not handled with care and not approached with caution. So I say all of that before going into the pros, because I don't want you to just hear these pros and be like, yeah, I'm going to go and get a credit card tomorrow, because yeah, it can get you into a lot of trouble if not managed effectively. So just starting off with the pros of having a credit card, I guess one of the pros is that they're very easy to use and easy to carry. So rather than carrying loads of cash, like let's say, for example, you're going shopping, rather than carrying £300 in your pocket, you can have the credit card, which means you're not actually carrying any money with you. And then that makes it safer as well than cash, because obviously if you lose your money, your money's gone. There's nothing you can do about it. Whereas if you lose your card, if you're able to cancel it before somebody else gets it and uses it, that is, your money is not lost. And even with that, actually, even if you do lose your card and somebody finds it and uses it, you still will get that money back eventually. So yeah, it's safer, I guess, than carrying cash. I guess another pro is that you can have what you want when you want it and pay for it at a later date. I say this with a side eye, and I'll talk about it when I go through the cons. But for now, let's say it is a pro. That is a positive, I guess. If it's used responsibly, you can actually pay for something you need urgently now and pay it back later. So let's say, for example, your washing machine has broken down and you need to buy a replacement washing machine. You don't have the money right now, but you know that you're getting paid on a weekly basis and you'll be able to keep up with those payments and finish paying it off a month later. That, I guess, is a pro of having that credit card. And I guess also your money is protected. So if you do make large transactions on the credit card, and if for any reason you want to get that money back and you're unable to do so, with your credit card, your money is a lot more safer because it is ensured that you can get that money back. And it's also a good tool for building your credit score. Again, if it's used effectively and it's managed sensibly, it can be used as a tool to build your credit score if your utilization rate isn't too high. So you're not maxing out every credit card that you get, but you're keeping your utilization rate at about 20%. That does kind of help to build your credit score. But I guess if we quickly go through the cons, just checking the time, sorry guys. Okay, in terms of the cons of the credit card, high interest payments, that can always be a factor depending on who you get your credit card with, because I know a lot of times people try and do that thing where you do a balance transfer. You do that balance transfer because it's interest free for a year or 2 years, but what tends to happen is that sometimes people don't pay that money back, and it goes from being interest free to like ridiculous interest payments that you have to make. So yeah, the interest payments on credit cards can be really, really, really bad. Debt can spiral. Now, this is a big thing, and this is something I myself can tell you happened to me, and it can happen to you too if you're not cautious when it comes to credit cards. Like, it's so easy for it to spiral because, like I was saying earlier, in terms of it being a pro, you can buy now, pay later. That buy now, pay later can get you into trouble, because if you're buying so many things that you can't afford and then you can't keep up with the payments, it can quickly spiral out of control and you can find yourself in a lot of debt. I think also another con is the additional fees that you can incur if you don't keep up with those payments. So those late penalty charges and things like that can be really, really high on a credit card. They're also very expensive to use on abroad as opposed to using your debit card. And late payment charges can really damage your credit rating. So I know before we were talking about the pro is that it can build your credit score, but it can quickly damage your credit score too if you don't manage it effectively. And then the final area that I'm going to be talking about is overdrafts. So with overdrafts, what I would say to you now is if you don't have an overdraft, don't get one. Like literally just pretend just pretend you're not even hearing about this. Don't even bother getting one. And if you do have one already, do what you can to really start paying it off quite quickly, because yeah, making plans for money that's not your own is not an effective way to manage your finances, and it can quickly get you into a lot of trouble. So in terms of how to manage an overdraft, if you do have one, it is spend it sensibly. So be responsible with that overdraft. Find out the date the interest-free amount ends. That's an important thing, because especially as students, when you're a university student, college student, you have overdraft for free. So they make you feel like it's free money that you can just enjoy at leisure. But there's going to be a time that comes to an end, and they're going to want their money back with interest. So really try and find out what that date is and work towards getting out of your overdraft before that date arrives. Make monthly payments to reduce that balance before the interest-free period ends. Because I know with the overdraft, it's included as part of your account balance. So it might look like you have more money than you have, but really try and start telling yourself that this isn't my money, and stop spending it and stop making plans for it. So that eventually, as you're getting paid on a weekly, monthly, or whatever it is basis, you're getting into habit of not including the overdraft in your available balance. Yeah, so the next point I said is stop making plans for money that's not your own. That's literally the point I was just making. Yeah, don't make plans for that overdraft money. See it as a emergency type thing, as opposed to calculating it into your daily budget. If you've got savings, use this to actually pay your overdraft back. So the money that you're going to earn on your savings is going to be a lot less than the money that you're going to earn in interest on your the interest that you're going to earn on your savings is going to be a lot lower than the interest that you're going to have to pay on your overdraft once they start charging you for your overdraft. Keep a close eye on your bank balance using mobile banking. Sign up for text alerts so that when you're going into your overdraft, your bank lets you know before it spirals out of control. And also read any letters or emails that you get from your banks. And that's literally me done. Yay! And I've done it within a minute. Oh gosh. So yeah, that's literally the end of my slides and my presentations. And I'm going to hand back to Naya now.
Thank you so much. That was so much information.
Yeah, I literally rushed through the end of it. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, because I know I did ask a lot of you. But I know that I need to hear a lot of that, especially when it comes to reading the letters that the bank sent me. I think, oh, it's my statement. And then I'm like, I know what I've spent. So I kind of just like put it in that drawer. You know, everyone has that drawer.
Yes.
They put all their letters in. But I'm going to actually say, audience members watching, there seems to be a theme appearing here. A couple now, automation, automate your financial services that are available to you right now. And also, even Raji mentioned it as well, actually like reading and going through the letters and your bank statements that you get, because that's all information about your habits and how it's going to impact you later on. So thank you. Next, we're going to have Emmanuel talking about credit scores. Yeah, Todd, if you want to stop sharing your screen. Yeah, and I think I will share. Actually, I'll ask you a question. Emmanuel, would you like to have the slide with your face, or would you like it to be just you?
I don't know. It's all about whatever you feel comfortable, whatever the recording requires. If you want it in the background, that's fine. If not, we can just talk. I'm happy to just talk.
Yeah, let's have Emmanuel. If we could make that happen. If you want to go ahead.
Did you have questions? Did you have the questions up? Were you going to ask the questions?
I'll put them up now for you. Yeah. Let me there we go. Bear with me 1 second. Can everyone see that? Can you see that?
Yeah, all good.
Cool. It's all yours.
All right, perfect. So we're talking about credit score. So I know when it comes to credit score, everyone always talks about, what, 999. They want to get the best credit score in the world. And it can be something that people get anxiety over, having the perfect credit score. So the first thing I always say, what is your credit score? So basically, your credit score is how financial companies basically rate you. by how you use other financial companies. So one of the big things you find is that if you have never used any credit whatsoever, you find that you tend to have a low score, because what credit score is basically saying is that it's how you have used credit with other companies. So let's even break it down even to a more basic level. If I came to you and I said I want to borrow some money from you, and you knew that I had taken money from Raji and Tolu, you might say to yourself, let me check with Raji and Tolu to see, did Emmanuel pay that money? How much did he take? Did he pay that back? Did he pay it on time? Were there delays? Were there any issues? Because you want to have the best information before you lend your money to someone. And so what happens is that's the exact same thing as a credit score. So a credit score is how have you used credit in the past. And so it shows someone new, this is your financial blueprint. This is what you look like. This is what you've done in the past. And it goes back for 6 years. So it looks as far back as 6 years. And that's basically what a credit score is, okay? Now, people always say, what's the ideal credit score? You want to have, for me, I prefer, but I'm with credit scores, there's two ways you can look at it. You can look at the number and you can look at the behavior. I'm much more about the behavior. So the number is your credit score. The behavior is your credit report, okay? And a lot of people put more emphasis on their credit score than they do on their credit report. But banks and institutions that you want to borrow from or lend from will look at your credit report. They'll look at what are the things you have done. Did you have any missed payments? Did you have any late payments? Have you defaulted? Did you have any CCJs? That will be on your credit report. And basically your credit report, then what's in your credit report should then reflect into your credit score, okay? But what's most important is that you don't have any of the things that I just mentioned. So sometimes you may have be doing everything right. You know, you're using your credit, paying it off. You are doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. However, your score is not going any higher. You might be stuck at 850. This is if you're using Experian, for example, which is 999, which is the best. And you might be thinking, wow, it's not going any higher. What I want you to tell yourself is that as long as I haven't got a default, I haven't got no CCJs, haven't got any missed payments, and I've been using credit properly, if I want to borrow money, lenders will find me favorable. And that's what I want. Don't get caught up in the credit score, because some things are not in your control. Sometimes it's because of who you share an address with, or that somebody has lived at that address, or something bad has happened at that address, and that could affect you. Sometimes it's because you've done a search for car insurance to get the best car insurance, and because you've done a search, that's the reason that your score has gone down. And it might go up and down and fluctuate. But what you want to make sure is that you've got the right behaviors in place when it comes to and the right behaviors is paying on time and not having any missed payments, which we spoke about before in regards to having automation and direct debits to make sure that you don't have any missed payments. One of the big things that I get with clients is that they want to pay it themselves. And what happens is they'll go on holiday, and then they're away on holiday, and then they forget to transfer or pay a bill. And then because they forgot, now they've got a missed payment, and that will affect their credit. Okay. And so these are things that are very simple that you can avoid by having a direct debit to make that payment and make sure that you're paying all your bills on time. Okay. How does my spending influence my credit score? So when it comes to your spending, this is going back to what Raji was talking about in regards to budgeting. So how you spend, how will it affect your credit score as well? If you overspend, and I have this all the time, you know that when you've got one account, and this is what we talked about, having separate accounts and having your money separate so you can see it. When you have one account, who knows about having that one account, and you look in your account and you see £200 and you're feeling rich, like, okay, I've got £200. Wow, I can go and spend some money. And you say, all right, let me spend a quick £80 over here, for whatever reason now, because you think you've got money, you go and spend £80. Who knows about that? And then all of a sudden, the direct debit for 150 comes out, and now you're either in your overdraft or you've gone overdrawn because actually your bills are not regulated and they come out at different times, and everything happens all from the same one account. And so you're spending money that you think you have, but actually you don't have. And so this is why it's so important to separate your money, so you know that your bills are being paid on time, and you've got enough money in that account to pay all your bills, and then you know that you're gonna be able to not go overdrawn or overspend because you've got everything clearly put into the right accounts. Okay, so that is something that's really, really important. I really want you to think about, how do I make sure that I look after my credit? Because what does credit do? Why is credit even important? I think that's something that for a lot of us, we don't. Credit is important because it allows you to leverage. And what leverage is, the best example I can give you for leveraging is when you buy a property. So think about it. You put in a deposit of, now they're saying 5%, but let's say you do 10%. You put in 10%. So the house costs 200,000, for example, and you put in 10%, 20K. So you put in 20,000, you lend or borrow 180 from the bank. The bank lends you 180,000. Now you have access to that asset. So you have leverage. So you've only had to put in 10% of the value, but now you've got 100% of the access to that asset. That's leveraging. And what happens is that now the property goes up in value. You can refinance and take some of that value out and use that to buy another property, invest in a business, and so forth. And so the reason that we need credit is that we haven't all got a Donald Trump dad that can give us a small loan of £1 million to get started. So because of that, it's really important that we have a balance and we make sure it makes it work. All right. I hope that makes sense.
Apologies, that was not me speeding ahead. That was just, I don't know what's happening. I think there was one more question there for you, actually. Yeah, apologies about that.
No problem.
There you go.
All right. So, final question: how do I keep my credit score healthy? I think what the big thing to do with your credit score to keep it healthy is, like I said, so number one, and the biggest one, I think, is check your credit report. All right. Some of you are not checking your credit report because you know the number that your credit is a madness. You know that it's meant to be 999 and you're there and your thing's saying 300, 400. So you don't want to look at it because it will ruin your day. Listen, go and look at it. You know, it's like when you know that you ain't paid those bills and the letters come through, you don't open the letters, pretending that if you don't open the letter, somehow the bill is going to disappear or it's going to fly away or it's not going to. The bill is still there. You still owe that money. Whether you open the letter or you don't open the letter, the money is owed. I want everyone to remember that. I owe the money whether I open the letter or not. So I might as well just open it and find out what's going on. All of a sudden, every time the door knocks, you're hiding, off in the lights. Listen, they know your house. They know your home. The light was on, now it's off. We have to come and face what we've dealt with, because most of the time, we are the ones that, when you had the parking ticket, you didn't want to pay. You were doing all big chests, talking, I'm not going to pay this. Forget them. They can't make me pay. Now bailiff's at your door, you're talking about, oh, please, give me some more time. You see, if you were just humble when you got the parking ticket and know that actually next time I've learned a lesson, I'm not going to park my car here and just pay your parking ticket on time, then you'd be all right. But no, you wanted to be doing the ego. And now the ego's got some 6'9" guy at your door talking about pay me the money or I'm taking your furniture. So this is where we've got to number one, humble ourselves. Check your credit report, okay? Make sure you look at that once a month. It will come up. Check it. You can check it for free with ClearScore or Credit Karma. I prefer ClearScore, which is powered by Equifax, and you can check it. And every month they'll say, here's your new score. Here, and you can check it. Keep an eye on it to make sure that you're on the electoral roll. It's really important for you to be on the electoral roll, because like I was saying before, would you want to borrow money to someone or lend money to someone that you don't know where they live? They got about 100 addresses. How are you going to find them? All right. So it's really important that you're on the electoral roll. That way everyone knows where you live, and then it's easy to find you. They feel comfortable. Again, if you've got too many addresses, that can count against you. So be careful if you go to university or you are changing address regularly. If you can, find one address that you can keep your letters going to until you get a more fixed, permanent location for yourself. All right. So for me, I kept it at my parents' address for the longest time until I got my own place and then moved it there. So these are things that you can do. All right. Then, like we said, pay on time. Try not to use. For me, when it comes to credit cards, I always say only use your credit card for things that you would normally pay cash. So if it's travel, if it's food, you'd have the cash for it. You can put it on your credit card and then pay it off. And then that's how you can build it. You can put it off and pay. You can put it on there and pay it off. Try not to. I know there's the whole buy now, pay later with Kalana and all this stuff. There's obviously your credit card, but really and truly, you can budget. You can put money in a savings account, and that's the money. And then build up an emergency fund. Your credit card should not be your emergency fund. Put some money away and build up an emergency fund. Okay. And then make sure that you've got all your direct debits. Even with your credit card, you can make sure that you pay the minimum payment and then you can make overpayments on top. Do you know what I mean? Just to make sure you don't miss your payment. Okay. So always have that minimum payment there, and then you can pay. Like I said, you want to clear it off, but always make sure you've got a direct debit in place so you don't miss payments. Okay. All right. And that's probably the main ones that I'll give now. But if you have any other questions when it comes to credit, just let me know.
Thank you so much for that. Credit scores are not something that I've currently started heading into the realm to, but yeah, that's given me some good kind of like inspiration to go out and find out a bit more. So you say you prefer ClearScore, you said?
Yeah, ClearScore's free. ClearScore's free, yeah. And the score's a bit more, I feel like Credit Karma is a bit more harsh. So their system's a bit more harsh. So they normally, you'll see on Credit Karma, your score will probably be lower. And it's a bit unnecessary. So I think ClearScore's a bit more of a better example of what lenders actually think of you.
And then I can find both my credit score and my credit report via ClearScore.
Yes.
One more question that I have. You mentioned a CCJ or CCJs. Yes. What is that?
So a CCJ stands for a county court judgment. So the perfect example is your parking ticket. Okay. So you get a parking ticket and you decide, I'm not going to pay this. I'm not going to pay it. And so what happens is they send you a letter and then say, okay, you haven't paid it in this time. Now it's gone up more. Then they send you another letter saying you haven't paid it. It's gone up until it escalates to then where they now say, actually, you haven't paid anything. We're going to send it to the court. And then that's where they send it to a court. So the county court, and then the court will then issue you a fine. Okay. And so then it's even further. And then if you continue to blanket, that's when the court would then say, or the company would then say, pay this. And then the fine becomes even bigger. Something that could have been, £60 if you paid it straight away is now £400.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
No problem.
Thank you so much, panelists. I learned a load of information there, and I hope our audience did too. We're just going to open it up to some questions now. So I've got a question that's come through. This is for Emmanuel. Do you have any advice for uni students on how best to approach building up a credit score for the first time?
Yes. My uni students, please don't listen to the bank. They lie. They don't love you. They don't love you at all. Okay. They're going to see you. They're going to offer you credit card. They're going to offer you overdrafts on top of overdrafts. And you think you're being really clever. I'm going to open one with NatWest and I'm going to open one with Halifax. Hey, until it's time to pay it back. And then you're crying. Okay. So please be very careful when taking credit and only take what you need and budget. Okay. So definitely make sure that this is where you can learn how to budget. Okay. So know what your outgoings are. It shouldn't be a surprise to you. And work it out, because sometimes even with your student loan, because of where you're living and the costs, you might still need to work or you might need support from family. And sometimes we're getting into financial difficulties and we haven't budgeted for it. So know what your costs are, know how much your rent is, know how much your food is, know how much travel is, and then look at it, work it out by the money that you're getting. Is your student loan enough? If it's not enough, are you going to have to get a part-time job or can your parents support you? These are questions that you can these are things you can find out beforehand. Don't wait until you're deep into, you know, the last pound in your overdraft and then begging your parents for money. So yeah, just be very careful and only take what you need. Okay, like, because they're going to throw credit at you all day long. I know people who are in their 30s that are still paying back student overdrafts and credit cards, student debt, all 10 years later. So definitely be careful.
Thank you so much. We have a question for Tolu. Just going to read this out. Rocio, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, asks or says, I've checked about savings bank accounts, but they do not give you more than £50 a year, putting 10,000 there. So is it really worth it when you have rules to keep it there? And I guess from that question, do you have to pay taxes for a short-term savings account? You're just on mute there.
Hello, sorry. Yeah, you know, you have your personal savings allowance, which means you don't pay tax on earnings under over under £1,000 worth of interest. So any interest that you've accrued on your savings of £1,000 and under, you don't pay any tax on it anyway. So over that, you'll pay tax. But if you're thinking the interest rate at the moment is like 0. whatever %, so before you get £1,000 in interest, it's going to take a long time.
Cool, and thank you for that. And to Raji, do you have any good suggestions for useful money management apps? That's a question from James.
Can you hear me? Okay, so yeah, sure. So some of the ones that I have used in the past are Money Dashboard. Then there are others like Yolt and Emma. And these are some of the popular ones in the UK. However, as I said, I currently use Starling Bank, which I think is a great one for just like, you know, just keeping a track of your expenses, because it's an account. At the same time, as I said earlier, it does classify each of your spendings. So if you're going out to a restaurant and you're just using your Starling Bank, then the minute you tap on, it just comes out as eating out. So it just directly puts into that classification as eating out. And then if you're going to groceries, Tesco, Sainsbury's, and when you tap there, it's going to go into groceries. So when you go back into your Starling Bank, it's quite user friendly. So you can go in there and you can just see, okay, this month, how much have I spent on eating out? So you can see by each classification, eating out, I've spent X amount, eating groceries, I've spent X amount, my bills are this much. So that's what I currently use. I've just moved on from just from using a money management app to just moved on completely to Starling, just because it's just easier for me to keep a track. And so is Monzo as well. Monzo is another bank account which is really good, as good as Starling, but I personally haven't used Monzo, but I use Starling. But if you're looking for money management apps, as I said earlier, Yolt, Money Dashboard, Emma, etc. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm just conscious of time. I can see more questions popping up here. And what I recommend that people do is I will share my screen. What I recommend you do is you follow these panelists on their socials. So check out their Instagram, their YouTube, their LinkedIn, their Pinterest. If you panelists just want to pop that information in the chat quickly so people can get to you, just because I'm conscious of time. For audience members listening, just stay tuned to the Young Emerging Leaders Collective Instagram page, because we have an opportunity to learn about financial literacy and well-being with NatWest. There will be a course of workshops, I think, over 2 days, but just stay tuned to our Instagram account and Twitter just to find out more. I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to say thank you so much to Raji, to Tolu and Emmanuel for being panelists today. You're absolutely amazing. I learned so much. Thank you for attending. Thank you to everyone at Yelp who helped me prepare for this event today. And I want to say thank you to Tracy and to Shauna for the tech, Tanita on social media, Tanita is also a member of the Young Emerging Leaders Collective, and she will be running an event on Wednesday, the 19th of May at 6:30, talking about economics for liberation. So please, if you want to attend that, stay tuned to our social media account at YEL, so that's YELC Collective on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. I really appreciate you all being here, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I hope the sunset is as beautiful where you are as where it is here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye-bye.